All right. Hey, everyone. Welcome to our band session today. Lots of people are falling out. This has been one of the most pervasive winter Arctic blasts I've seen in a while. You know it's bad when our agents in Florida are posting pictures of snow. That's too much snow when that happens. So we need to do something about that. Oh, I know what we can do about that. We can take a cruise in a few weeks, and that's going to be amazing. So today I wanted to kind of bring up a topic that I think is really important, and it's really the hidden key to communication that no one has ever told you. Now, this is something I heard about when I was in graduate school. I actually have my master's degree in education, and I was a total education nerd, learned all the educational psychology stuff. I was a psychology nerd, to be honest. Loved it. Just really always thrived on that stuff. And the professor told us one day about this communication principle, and I heard it in his lecture, and I've never heard anyone else talking about this other than me. He and I are the only two people on the planet talking about this. So I'm sure there's more, but what the key has to do with elaborative communication versus basal communication, okay? Has anyone heard that term before? Raise your hand if you've heard this distinction before. Okay, there you go. Elaborative communication versus basal communication. If you can figure this out, this will help you immensely in your business, okay? So let me explain the difference, okay? Elaborative communication, and these two different communication styles are the way most of us were raised, probably one or the other. Could be a combination, but imagine a man's out in the boat with his 10-year-old son, and they're out fishing, right? Not a day like today. It's not ice fishing. They're just out on a nice summer day out on a lake in their little boat, and the dad speaks out to his son and says, "Hey, son, can you get in the tackle box over there, open the tackle box, and then you'll see 6 different trays. On the third tray down, on the little box to the right, you're going to find a yellow fishing lure, and it's going to have black and white stripes on it, a little feather thing coming off of it. It has 3 hooks on it. Can you grab that for me, please?" Okay, that's elaborative communication. Basal communication is where the son or the father looks over to the son. He says, "Worm." Do you see the difference? I could tell you guys are all dying, laughing hysterically. I think it's funny. Worm. And and how many people have you noticed over the years? Maybe you grew up in a home like that. I kind of did, where everything was basal communication. Rather than being clear and articulate, it's just basal. What's the fewest number of words I can just spew out there to try to get my point, and hopefully they'll understand everything that I'm thinking. Okay, so that's basal communication, and it comes up all the time in communication. I see it. Sometimes we'll get emails from agents, and the email will say commission, and we're like, "What does that mean?" It's like worm. Commission. Okay, are you wanting an update on your commission? Are you telling us you're sending a commission over to our office? Are you missing a commission? Did you just earn a commission? Like, give me a few clues here. What are we talking about? And so that'll be, or I'll get a text message from an agent that's something like that. And so elaborative communication is so important in your business. It's important literally in your relationships. It's important in your parenting. It's important in so many ways in life, is to try to avoid basal communication. So, and that's basically the big idea today. And George Bernard Shaw said the single biggest problem in communication is the illusion that it has taken place. That's so true. The single biggest problem in communication is the illusion that it has actually taken place. All right. So what we want you to do is to avoid basal communication, especially if you are in business and you're doing a real estate deal, real estate transaction. Avoid basal communication. Put effort into engaging in elaborative communication, okay? Focus on this approach. If you have it in your mind, it will help you a long way. Maybe write this on a sticky note. Elaborative communication versus basal communication. Put it on a sticky note, put it someplace where it's going to remind you to really focus on the elaborative communication, okay? So there's a lot of benefits from it. Elaborative communication, one of the things that you can actually encourage the listener through elaborative communication. One of the things you want to do in elaborative communication is you want to think through how the hearer of your words or the reader of your words is going to perceive those words before you send them, okay? And I would encourage you, think like ChatGPT, okay? Encourage people with pretty much every communication that you give them. Think each day, how can I encourage people with my words? How can I lift people up rather than tearing them down or rather than just being neutral? Have you ever noticed that ChatGPT actually has this mechanism? Like if you ask a question, it can be a stupid question. With ChatGPT, there's no such thing as a stupid question, right? You can ask anything and it's going to say, wow, Bob, wow, Scott, you're thinking of this just the right way. This is brilliant. You're really on the right track, man. Maybe it won't say man, but it always encourages you with your question. And then you throw the question out there and it will start out by encouraging you and then it will give a response. And then at the end, it will potentially say other things that are encouraging. And I've called that an encouragement sandwich because it starts, and I actually learned about this years before ChatGPT was a thing. But when you're talking with people, do your best to encourage them in the beginning of your communication. Even if you have a conflict or you have a difficult conversation that you're having, try to say something positive at the beginning. And then you can address whatever that topic is, and then you end it with another word of encouragement somehow, okay? And this is really great when you're in a difficult conversation. But really, all your conversations through the day can be filled with encouragement sandwiches, okay? I don't know, I always think of sandwiches, makes me hungry a little bit. Another benefit of elaborative communication is that it ensures understanding, okay? You have to use a lot of words, take the effort, put the effort into framing your words so that you're literally answering the questions that other people are asking. You want to say it in a way that you know for sure they are understanding it. Not just that you understand it. Most people fall short of this because they're thinking, well, I understand it. What's wrong with you? and you have to really put yourself in the place of the hearers, okay? So elaborative communication ensures that. Elaborative communication helps to develop the relationship with the other person because there's a lot of communication that's happening rather than just at that basal level. For instance, sometimes I don't do too many listings anymore because I'm doing this little broker thing, which keeps me pretty busy. So I don't do too many actual listings anymore. But there was a time when I was doing a lot of flat fee, limited service listings. I do some now, but only if people come to me. But there's a time in the process, I haven't done much with them, but they'll get an offer on their property. And my first words are, congratulations, that's fantastic. You did a great job. And so that helps the conversation. And then I'll interact with them about whatever the topic is with that offer. And then at the end, I'll say, you're doing really great at this. Keep up the great work. So I'll try to keep that encouragement. And then it develops the relationship when I do that. And then I get referrals. That's why I still do flat fee listings, because I have people that send referrals to me or people that like that type of communication and they end up coming back to me. So people like to do business with people who like them, okay? People like to do business with people who like them. So that's part of your job is to communicate, and it has to be authentic. You have to really like people, but let them know how much you like working with them. So it develops the relationship, and then it brings about a true meeting of the minds, okay? So especially in negotiations, I've seen so many negotiations where people assume that the other person knows what they're thinking. When in doubt, write it out. Make sure that there's full communication. It's elaborative. You haven't assumed anything, and that's how you know you have a true meeting of the minds. Okay. Ultimately, elaborative communication is persuasive. So if you're basal in your communication, you're not going to persuade very many people. But if you're elaborative and you become a good communicator and you're working hard to communicate fully, that's going to be very persuasive to potential clients. Now, elaborative communication takes work. It takes energy and it takes discipline. But if you will take the time to engage in elaborative communication, that will really, really help your business and it will help your relationships as well. So another thing I wanted to give you are a few tips about this. Number one, think through every text message, every email, every spoken word before you communicate. Scott and I have gotten pretty good at this, I think, because we confer on so much. Scott's our managing broker. So if you have managing broker questions, make sure you see Scott. He's like the hero of our brokerage as far as helping people solve problems. He's great at that. So, but we talk through stuff all the time. And we work hard to make sure we word things correctly and that we're really being full in our communication. So take time to think through even a text message. Take time to think through an email. Don't just be shooting things out there quickly without a lot of thought. Be very careful and be very intentional about it. And then think of the conversation from the vantage point of the person who's receiving the message. You have to get outside of your head. Think about how they're receiving this. And so that brings to the next point is edit yourself. I can't tell you how many times, each time I send a text message, I'll write the text message and then I'll look at it and I'll think, well, that doesn't make sense from their perspective. So then I'll edit it and I'll change it 25 times before I send a text message at times or an email. So make sure you're editing yourself. Don't wait for others to do it. Don't wait for them to ask questions. Try to edit yourself and be proactive on that. And then utilize scripting. So scripting is basically when you think through a conversation ahead of time and you write out the things that you want to say in that conversation. In particular, if you're prospecting, say you're calling on for sale by owners or you're calling on expired listings, you want to think through how's that conversation going to go, and you want to think it through. And then what if they ask a question to you? What are the questions they might ask? So think that through. And how are you going to respond to that? Think that through. Write as much of that out as possible so you've had as much precision and clarity with your words as you can possibly manage. And then the next one is utilize ChatGPT and other AI for communications. This can really help you sharpen your communication, make it very precise. And a lot of times I think I'm saying something smart, and right before I send it, I'll say, well, let me bounce that off of ChatGPT first. And there's sometimes where it just shreds me. Absolutely don't say that. You do not want to say that. Do not post that. Don't word that like that. And so it's humbling, but it's also educational. I can't pay an editor to sit around and edit all my text messages before I send them. But we have a free editor in ChatGPT or any other AI models that you want to work with that can edit you and help you learn how to say things better. So there's never been a better time to be alive to be able to practice elaborative communication. And then I would say hand out encouragement sandwiches all day long. Do this every day. Think about, you wake up in the morning and think, I wonder who I can encourage today. Who can I lift up? And you use your words to build people up. Use it to, don't tear them down, build them up. And this will help your business overall and your relationships in a big way. And I'll leave you with this quote. Maya Angelou said, people will never forget how you made them feel. As you're thinking about words, you can be technically correct on a thing, but be thinking about how you can encourage and lift people up in your words as well. So use elaborative communication, not just basal communication. And one of the biggest reasons for that is you have two opportunities to make a first impression. Did you know that? It's not just one. You have two opportunities to make a first impression. The first is when people meet you. You've made a first impression. So if you look like a slob, you look like a goofball, you're recovering from a hangover, whatever that might be. That's your first impression when they see you. The second time you have to make a first impression is when you start to speak. Okay? So some people, they can dress nicely, they look sharp, they smile. So that first impression is great, but their second chance to make the first impression is when they start to speak and they start to say stupid stuff. Okay, you've met those types of salespeople, right? So make sure that you've thought through what you want to say, and make sure you use elaborative communication, not basal. Think it through, make sure it's clear and that it's very full in meaning everything that you say. So that's my encouragement to you. Communication can help you win deals. It can help you to lose deals. So use your words wisely to build a great business.